you're better off just going into broadcast journalism straight up and then specializing in sports, because everybody wants the glamour. Oh, I'm going to be on ESPN. And then you get so niche you can't diversify.
You might want to look into Loyola. You might want to look into Loyola.
I will check the list. I will totally check the list.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not teaching there, but I would be teaching there. I could teach writing for your child. I'm sure she'd love it. She'd love me.
Yeah, but you'd have to put up with her. This is also the one that, so, 5 foot tall, ginger, looks dead on like my husband. And she runs the tech booth for the high school theater program.
Like a tyrant.
Yes, the upperclassmen are terrified of her. She has inherited my resting bitch face. It's great.
Inheriting resting. I wasn't aware that was a genetic trait.
Yes, but if she's coming from your family, she's going to turn in her papers, which means I'm an easy A.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
You turn in your papers, chances are you're going to get a high B or an A.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if her main thing is if they're book reports, she just wants to write the book report on anything, and don't censor what she reads. So if she's going to write the book report on some torrid, spicy romance, you're going to get a book report on spicy, torrid romance. But that's okay because she's read the book.
Yeah, all right.
RBF is a dominant gene.
Totally is.
There you go.
I'll have to remember that. That needs to go in a book. Somebody steal that and put in the story, please.
I'm confident that while it may be, something transferable genetically, it can also be a learned trait.
Probably.
Oh, sure.
Paula has no idea. She said, because she's got it to a certain degree. But she's also got the face where strangers. It's the weird thing. She has RBF on one side, but at the same time, strangers are like, I need to tell you my entire life story,
and you need to listen.
As opposed to me, no, I'm the freak magnet. So if there's any weirdo within 30, within like 30 or 50 to 70 feet, they're cutting a beeline to my ass.
It's the beard.
It is the beard. Because there was this guy in San Francisco, a homeless guy. I was walking out of a famous science fiction bookstore in San Francisco called Borderlands. This is when we were there after Katrina for 3 months. And I walk out, and this guy's walking towards me. And he goes, I know you. I don't know this guy. He's wearing a 70s rainbow vest, puffy vest. And I thought he was wearing a turtleneck, but he was shirtless. He was just...
It's sort of like a turtleneck, just like sort of, kind of.
So he goes, I know you. I'm going to pull a Harvey Milk on you. And I was like, what? And so he starts walking away. He's a little bit taller than me. He's like 6'3". Second time in my life, which was once when I was playing with my brother and my cousin, I juked them. Second time in my life, I juked somebody. I went, ha! I went left, he went left, and I juked him and beat it out of there. But it was like, my question is, why did the homeless guy think I was gay?
You're not?
It's the beard, dude.
I don't
it's
care.
The beard.
I'm not, I love everybody, but
we don't judge people around here. What you do on the down low is your own business.
Yeah. I was dyeing my hair blonde at the time, so yeah.
Oh well, I could do with it. If it didn't handle the eyebrows, I could do it.
Yeah.
Maybe he mistook you for Bruce Willis when he dyed his hair white. Because the two of you look an awful lot alike.
Yeah, being Bruce Willis. I'm looking for him all the time on Hollywood Boulevard. All the time. People would walk up to me and go, "Are you going to the Nakatomi party?" And I was like, "No, I can't make it."
Okay, Brett has it dead on. A homeless dude was wearing a puffy rainbow vest and thought you were gay.
Yes, yes, Brett, that was the situation.
Like knows like.
Yeah, yeah. And again, we're in San Francisco, about 3 miles from the Castro district.
Well, if you're in San Francisco in that particular area, he's probably got a better than 50% chance of being
No,
right
yeah.
on most people.
No. And we were on Valencia, which is like in between this Admission, Valencia, Castro. So, you know, I mean, it was a coin flip. It was a coin flip.
Can I talk now?
No.
And you go.
Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I am Paul E. Cooley. Joining me, as always, Veronica Jagger and Terry Mixon. And for some goddamn reason, CD Brown, a.k.a. Charlie Brown, a.k.a. Big Sexy, is joining us today. The Louisiana Big Sexy. Got to say it right. Is joining us today. And so we do have a small talk section. However, I have to be very careful when I say there's small talk around Charlie, because Charlie is one of the most natural storytellers I have ever met. And once you get him drinking, it only gets worse.
Plot squirrels everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not even plot squirrels. It's plot ferrets. It's plot
trying to tone it down. And as soon as you're right, as soon as we hit 258, that's when it kicked in. So, yeah.
So we're going to do the small talk very carefully. There'll be landmines about. So Veronica, what have you been up to?
That will absolutely not happen. You don't lie to our listeners. It's not going to happen the way you said.
Look,
Nope.
I can attempt to hold the mantle of control, such as it is, ephemeral as it is. It's really a gossamer thread that kind of fades in and out of existence. So when it gets there, I will yank
I'm not going to play this game.
It's not even that. It is soggy, wet tissue paper. I think even better. It is cotton candy, and you're that poor desperate raccoon that's going, oh my gosh, it's wet. And go, where is it? Where is it?
I'm not even going to pretend that I'm going to try to maintain any kind of control, because I'm going to be the anti-control. Anytime you look like you're on target, I'm just going to derail the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm lying here, because actually Charlie's going to derail it, but I'm going to help him.
You won't be the conductor for the train of chaos, but you will happily shovel coal.
I'm the ticket guy. I will go ahead and take the tickets to the train of chaos.
All right. As long as I don't look like Tom Hanks in that god awful dead-eyed animation film. What was the name of that? The Polar Express.
Polar Express.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Questions. Paul had questions for you.
Yes. My week has been interesting, mostly because I'm trying to wrap up all of my recording before summer travel and vacation and kid support. So, I am currently narrating romance. I am currently narrating shifter romance, which I got cast for because of Cajun accents and Southern accents. And it has been an interesting experience. It's one of the few occasions where I actually know the person that I was cast with, who I met during the Audiobooks at Sea conference. Lovely gentleman, really, really good voice actor. And it's one of those things where he sent the samples, because the way that you do it is you collaborate. Whoever gets the character first, usually they establish the tone of the character, and then the male characters, obviously he takes care of most of them unless they show up for me first and they're not main characters. So he sent me all of the voice files, and I was like, oh, this is going to sound awesome. So it is really going to sound awesome. It is probably not a book that I would pick up for myself, because it's not my cup of tea necessarily as a reader, but neither are thrillers necessarily, but I narrate them very well because of where my voice sits. So it's been fun. And then I wrapped up raw narration for a suspense thriller a series I've been doing, actually a series that I booked when I was at 20 books in November. And that was lovely and a little too close to home, because I had to research. My poor search engine right now is all full of Nazi occult research and learning German and German pronunciations and German accents. Yeah. So
I'm sorry, I'm just imagining you in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I just can't do it.
Is she dressed like Indy?
meet again.
Could this work?
No, it's one of the Germans.
This is the Arcane series by J.F. Penn, and I finished re-narrating the first 3 books in the series because she rewrote them and tweaked them as she went through the series. And then the most recent book, I think, is like the thanks, Brent, with like the 9th or 10th book in the series. It's actually set. It deals with Austria and Germany, and then they actually go over to the U.S. So it was interesting with a bunch of research. I learned in my research that if you ever played Castle Wolfenstein, the actual castle that is based off of is called Wewelsburg Castle. And that is where Himmler and all of his nasty cronies did all of their lovely occult experiments and kept all of their artifacts. So I liked narrating parts where they got punched.
Yeah.
A lot.
I'm looking forward to my next series when I've already got a Nazi punching thing going on. So
okay.
I'm definitely going to be smacking some Nazis around. Space Nazis.
Hey, Secret World Chronicle, we punched space Nazis for 5 books straight. I am all about that. So yeah, that's been my week.
Okay, what about you, Terry?
I am still struggling to get this book written.
Aww.
My brain wants to do everything else but write, but I'm still like 60% of the way done. It's going. I'm glad I had a little bit of cushion built up because it is taking me forever to get to it. It's not that it's. I think part of the problem is that it's a little bit different than what I've been writing before. As far as the environment, there's not as much space fighting going on in the first half, and it's been a little bit convoluted in what I was doing. So. We'll see how this all plays out. I think it's going to work fine for once it's done, but for actually creating it, it's a bit more of a slog than I'm used to.
Well, that sounds interesting.
I've had things like this happen before, and the books ended up fine. It's just it's not what I was used to writing, and it's a little harder. But I figured out it's taken me this long that switching characters, going one to the other, to the other, to the other, when I've got 4 characters, I keep derailing my own plot in my head because I'm switching the point of view of what's going on. And so I'm looking forward to writing the next series where I'm just going to have one point of view because I suspect it's going to be a lot easier to keep going.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
I totally get that. That's why I always have to assemble those kinds of books as movies in my head, and I always think about once we get going the series 24. Mm-hmm. I don't want 6 screens of the same thing happening. I want to basically, if I'm going to switch characters, I have to switch it when there's an important moment in the other character's dealings, and I want to cut away from that. I'll have somebody else witness what's going on next, because maybe that character can't tell us what's going on across the room.
That's always a challenging thing to do with a single point of view. I've done it before in writing one book I've written, the sole point of view. And it was fast. Writing the post-apocalyptic book took 23 days to write the entire novel. Damn. I just could not stop myself from writing it. Mm-hmm. So if the new series starts up that way, I may never go back to multiple points of view. Okay. We'll see. And answering Rick's question, this is not the wrap book. I'm writing the next to the last. There's going to be 16 books in this series. I'm writing on book 15 right now.
All righty.
Oh, no. JR's here. Where's the band button?
We'll get to it.
I got the cowbell.
Charlie,
give him some cowbell. He needs some cowbell. Give it to him.
I'm afraid to ask what you've been up to creatively this week.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Well, there's one big thing did just happen. So I've been in a pretty creative sludge. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's been I wrote a novel that is gonna get trunked because it's a literary novel, and it's just too weird. it's a Y2K book that is not science fiction enough to be science fiction. It's not literary enough to be literary. And I sent it out. I've had it in the it's been done since about 2022, and it's just like it just got flattened. So the big thing that I've been doing since I've returned to New Orleans in 2020, was I've been making music videos. And so right now I've been working with this one guy named Mr. Misled, and it's a metal rap. It's not rap metal. It's I can't describe it. We've done some interesting things. I did my first full green screen video where he said, "Can we do Conan the Barbarian on a budget?" And I said, "I'm your man." I'll look those up while we're talking and throw it for you. So Mr. Misled, and I also did. It's not new metal. It's definitely some of it is rap, some of it is metal. He's pretty good. And we did this other one that was a dedication to 80s action movies that like his friend owned. His friend had a Porsche, so we drove the Porsche around, and I put this it looks like a VHS you would have picked up in the deep sections of Blockbuster. It was on purpose. It looked that way on purpose. And then some other bands that I've been working with are more art rock and a rap. We did a rap video for my friend MC Sweet Tea, and the song was picked up on the new names. Amy. It was on Hulu. Amy. She was on Comedy Central for a long time.
Amy Schumer?
Amy Schumer, yeah. So the last Amy Schumer show on Hulu, this song got picked up. It's an old song, but she said, "Oh, let's make a video just in case." The problem is when it came onto the Amy Schumer show, they took the hook out, which was the way to find the song. And unfortunately, the hook is the chorus, which is everybody knows you dance like you fuck, you dance like you fuck, you dance like you fuck.
I can't imagine why they pulled that.
And they did Amy Schumer. She says shit like that in her sleep. Anyway. There you go. There it is. Brett Cullum. Yeah, Don't Let Go. I did do that. I did do that video. And so we did a few of those, Mr. Misled, and then I did the, and then the last one I just did was a pseudo kind of Tom Waitsy kind of jazz song by a guy named Stu Odom. And it's called "The Ghosts Are Watching Me on Parade." And I just put it up on YouTube just recently. That was a really fun. It's kind of silly. It's the ghosts. We got about 7 people with literal sheets over their heads with eyes cut out, and they're doing ghosty moves. But it's kind of like it's a little campy and it's a little silly, but it's also serious, and it was a fun video. And then after I get back from Europe, these guys right here who I'm repping, The Tomb of Nick Cage. If you haven't seen The Tomb of Nick Cage, hold on for 1 second.
Why don't you show us that shirt a little closer? Bring it closer to the camera.
Okay, I will.
Awesome.
And so the tomb itself. Let's see. Oh, I can't. Oh, they won't let me. Anyway, the tomb itself. The Tomb of Nick Cage is this giant pyramid. It's kind of anyway. And so this band is a horror rock band. I think you guys would like them. They do songs about about John Carpenter films. Cooley, you'd love them. They do all John Carpenter. They sound like John Carpenter soundtracks too.
Oh no.
They do a song about They Live. It's like obey, it's really good. And they're kind of tongue in cheek. Their lead singer goes by the name Kim Trails, and and they're great people. And in early July, they're doing a more electronic set, and it's a husband and wife are the core of the band, and they're doing a solo project, just them two, and that's going to be a lot. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go out actually into the swamps of New Orleans and do some witchy, gothy kind of stuff. So yeah, looking forward to it. So mostly it's been videos. I am wrapping up Veronica. I am wrapping up Vamp City 2. Finally.
Oh,
Finally.
about time.
So when you go out into the swamps, I recommend you go ahead and have someone come out with you. Just bring an extra along. Some guy that you can have bring along, and then sometime during it, he sneaks off and vanishes, and then you make them think that the gators got him.
Dude. When I talk about the Gators, let's talk about the Gators for 5 seconds.
No. Here we go.
Here we
go.
Keep a counter. Somebody keep a counter.
Anyway, I've lived in New Orleans. I'm now just turned 56. I've lived in New Orleans about 42, 43 of those years. Never in my life have I seen so many alligators in the city. It's like they're swimming around in Bayou St. John and in like people are just like going, hey, there's a gator. Hey, there's a gator. These aren't small gators, man. They're like 6-foot gators. One of them jumped out of Bayou St. John and went over by a middle school and was sitting there hanging out. And I was like, there have never been so many gators.
What time does the drive-thru open?
If you go ahead and get an extra shoe, you could put a little bit of red on it and leave it there laying it, make them think that the gator's left his bloody shoe behind.
Or I could throw a crock in its mouth, and the baby and mother and baby working together. Oh, the crocks!
You can totally freak them out when you're done filming that, making them think that it's all gone wrong.
And Veronica, I don't know if you saw it, but the Biloxi beach had a gator just swimming on it. Just swimming.
I don't doubt that at all.
That made that anyway. So all right. So the gator. All right.
I used to go down there like after work.
Gator talk is now over. But anyway. So after Vamp City 2 will be coming out in the fall. I finally got it together. I got it edited. I'm pretty happy with it. It goes in a very strange direction.
I am shocked.
You have to understand, were-possums are like my favorite, and that's.
This is the man who brought us were-possums.
Unfortunately, now.
Yes, Charlie Brown is the man who brought us were-possums, and we should be thankful for it.
The were-possum is unfortunately now a vampire, and because I had to save his life. But anyway, so this one is going to be a young coven of witches versus the vampires. It brings in about 3 different. So I just published about 2 years ago. I published a story about an acid test in San Francisco that turned into a Cthulhu summoning, and the main character of that, who was a young woman, she becomes a psychic in Los Angeles who reads people's cards, not tarot cards, loteria cards, because she's Mexican. And so she tells people. So there's her. There's my Cajun vampire, who's and a lot of. So there's a lot of. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's coming out, and that'll come out after Labor Day, after hopefully Dirty Magic, right around the same time the first issue of Dirty Magic should come out.
Well, we should take a moment to explain what Dirty Magic is, because the question came up earlier in chat, and I'd bet a chunk of these people that are watching don't really know what that is.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what's going on, people. No, I'm. So again, I've been feeling pretty pretty creatively hit a wall on my writing, and so I was like, okay, let me go back to Dirty Rice. Well, there are innards involved.
Start out with a history lesson.
was writing.
What has happened at the beginning of Dirty Magic? Where did this spring from?
Dirty Magic springs from two collections that I put together in 2013 and 2014, and it was a very specific anthology. It was crime meets magic in a certain city. So the first one was done in Los Angeles, and so that got some decent press and had some very good stories in it. And then the second one we took to New Orleans, so that I did the place where I was living in my hometown, and that did not do as well sales wise, but I still had a lot of great stories in it. And and anthologies are they're just hard. So one of the big lessons I learned from that is that the prompt was too narrow, was too niche. That there weren't just any stories sitting around with that kind of premise. So
yeah, I had to write the 2 stories I submitted from scratch because I didn't have anything like that.
Yeah, and they were fantastic. Those were some of my favorite stories in the anthology. I don't
remember a thing about them at this point. It's been so long.
I wish you'd pick it up. It was the Blood Mage guy. I think you could get a couple of, if you're talking about first person novels, you could get a couple of novels out of him. Anyway, so Blood Mage Assassin, great character. Anyway,
that reminded me a little bit there. Okay, now I sort of remember what was going on.
Yeah.
So Terry's got a thing for assassins. Noted.
It's true. So we years and years go by. I finally get my degree in creative writing. Publish my books. Half literature, half genre. And then, like I said, I hit this wall. Had to move back to New Orleans. Didn't have to, but chose to move back to New Orleans. Trying to get myself settled here. So now that I'm settled, got a good full-time academic job, it comes with a little money to do your creative projects. So that's also part of it. So now I'm going, all right. I looked at the market, and I've done some pretty good market research on this. And I just don't think that there is a magazine level fiction right now that is covering urban fantasy. Right now, it's looking like urban fantasy is, for the most part, a novel kind of place. You're going to find a whole. You go to Amazon. There's tons of novels with chicks in leather pointing a sword and a gun at the same time. At the moon.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so I wanted to create like a magazine that was in that kind of space, where in there having the urban fantasy, having sword and sorcery, because I love Fafford and Grey Mouser. And I love the Conan stories, and so like having some good sword and sorcery, street level sword and sorcery, and because I write vampire fiction, I said okay, and let's have some gothic horror. Oh, which Escape Pod spinoff are you talking
Castle
about?
Pod. Talking about Castle Pod.
That's pretty high.
Oh, Podcastle.
Podcastle is kind of high fantasy, though, isn't it?
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, I mean, so with Dirty Magic, for those who don't really grok it, hopefully the tagline, which I think is a pretty good tagline, we'll get is like, "We don't care what the king is doing. We don't care what the king is doing." I want like real kind of like I want that noir edge in there. I want some humor. I want some, some sarcastic kind of, humor. I want a little bit of that, but I definitely want to like, let's do fantasy with a little bit, just a little bit of gothic. Have it be a little bit dark, but not bloody. So it's not a horror magazine. It's a fantasy magazine. I mean, bloody is fine. Of course, you're going to have some. Of course, you're going to have some blood, obviously. But so for example, Terry, you don't remember it, but you wrote about a blood magic assassin in the 30s. That would fit. That obviously fits in because it was in the Paul. I'm thinking closet treats, maybe not. But what was the? Oh shoot! I read the one where you had
Tony Downs.
Huh?
Tony Downs.
Some of the Tony Downs would work, but that one where you had the fire starter, the person starting the fires.
Gare's Inferno.
Yeah, Gare's Inferno. That would be something that would fit. Some of the Garaga stuff would fit for sure. Yeah, the modern Garaga. Maybe this is your chance. Maybe this is your chance to finally write a modern Garaga.
Yeah, well, I've written several modern Garagas, it's just not really necessarily published.
Yeah, so. Well, I mean, maybe you can throw one my way. I don't know. Anyway, but those are Gare's Inferno did rock. I really like that book. I really like
Thank
it.
you.
And so so basically it's just one of those things where it's just like I see this, like there's a market opportunity there, and I wanted to put something together, but I wanted it to be semi-pro at the very least to begin with. Hopefully, get it up to the professional level within a couple of years. So what that means is I'm paying initially $50 a story. If I can get to a certain level after a year, I'll go up to 100. And if I can grow and grow, I'm not trying to make money. I know I'm making money for the first time in my life. I'm actually making money. I'm after, getting my name out, getting my name established in the fantasy world, along with helping bringing others along with me to say, all right, we're going to do some, let's write some good stories. Let's get these stories out there. Let's start to build your reputation, build your CV as a writer, or build your resume as a writer. And then along with that, I'm going to go ahead and, for my own fun, I'm also going to write a forgotten media column to go with it. So we're looking at initially it'll be about 3 stories a month and 1 column from me writing about, I'm definitely going to write about, I know how long of a story, it's a short story, so 2,000 to 750. Actually, I think I said 10,000. I'll take a 10,000. I know 10,000 for $50 is not a fair deal. But if you've got one of the stories that doesn't fit in anywhere, then I think but it fits my guidelines, at least
Based on that, I assume that this is going to be an electronic only format.
Electronic only for initially. I cannot justify putting out a print magazine.
No, you cannot.
I cannot justify putting out a print magazine at all. Not in this day and age.
It's pricey. Doing anything print is pricey.
Yeah. So, but I'm taking advantage of the situation where you can subscribe through Patreon or Substack. I'm going to make both available. So yeah, what is your flavor of and some direct, and so right now we're doing the Kickstarter, and I'm at just about $1,000 now. So I've got $1,600 done out of a $2,500 goal. I had a very modest goal. So does Clark Words still do present?
Do you have any push goals for audio versions? Since you're doing Patreon.
I'm struggling to get to if we could get to the audio versions within a year, I think I know who to call.
So
are you still working with the dark or not? Sorry, dude.
They haven't done any audio stuff for a while.
Oh, really?
So I haven't done anything for them, but I mean, currently one of the models that I have with Nobilis is he's got a Patreon only story.
Mm-hmm.
I record the audio for him, and it goes out via Patreon, and it's a great story. But sometimes I've seen with Kickstarters, they have the push goal of audio. But if you've got an example story or something where you need to, get people's attention.
Yeah.
If it's 5,000 words or less, send it my way.
Okay.
And at least we can put it up there as a teaser of, this is the kind of stuff that you can get. And if you get to this point, then because that kind of subscription, even 10 people subscribing for audio can help, float and buffer. And it's not like it's the reason I ask is because anytime I'm looking at someone doing a Kickstarter for, say a magazine or a book or a series, you already have the content for audio, and it's just figuring out how to kick it over to the next level. So
I'm trying to be modest at the beginning because I want this to take. It's like a graft, right? I want the idea to take. I was just at Balticon, a couple of weeks ago, and it's not like it used to be. Boy, it's not like it used to be.
Yeah. So what's different?
But I met a lot of new people, which was also my goal there. And so it looks like I'm probably going to do some new cons now, including possibly Capclave and then World Fantasy. The woman who runs Balticon also runs World Fantasy. Debbie Chowardy is her name. Very fun, very nice woman. And she's actually coming to New Orleans. We're going to get a local con back going called Contraflow, which is a local joke about Contraflow means both lanes of the interstate are going the same way, so you can
so you can evacuate.
You can evacuate quickly from New Orleans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I have driven those kinds of lanes.
Yeah. It's not a lot of fun. Not a lot of fun. Hurricane Katrina for us was a 13-hour drive to Houston. 13-hour drive to Houston.
God. Sorry, we evacuated here when we thought Irma was going to come up and tear through and get us. And it was a 13-hour drive from where I am in Florida to Mobile. And I drove it by myself with, I had all 3 kids in the car with me. I think my oldest was 10. I've got to check the pictures, but that means that my daughter, gosh, yeah, she must have been 6. So maybe my oldest was a little bit older, but yeah, it was not fun. And it began a long-running hatred of I-75 for me. But.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a well-deserved hatred.
It totally is. It melds into the Florida Turnpike, and then that's a hell that will never be fully constructed until 2057. So yeah.
Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get into the chat so that I can throw the links in there.
What was the name of that con?
I forgot. So I know we're throwing some of the links into the Discord and the live chat.
Conjure, yeah. They got into a lot of trouble with Conjure because they had the same person being responsible for it all the time, and that person stopped being a student there because they moved on and still tried to keep doing it, and the college came down on them, and bad things then occurred, and I don't think it's ever taken place since.
I think they were banned from campus.
Could be.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing.
Ooh, rough.
Yeah, that was a thing.
It wasn't just that they kept doing it. There were other egregious things going on at the same time from the same group of people, so it wasn't solely that got them nuked.
Because that's where we met. That's where all 3 of us met. If I'm correct. Right?
Yeah.
The second
Conjure.
I didn't meet any of y'all until Balticon. So.
Right, and this was a few years earlier than that.
Oh, can you not put links in the chat here?
No, you need to drop them in Discord live.
Paul can do it. There's a private chat that you can send it to Paul, And Paul, I believe, has the authority to drop it into the main chat.
Okay. All right. I'm sending.
So send it in the private chat, and then Paul can put it in the main chat.
Yeah.
Okay. I've just put it into that direct message that we've been doing together, Paul. On
Okay,
Discord.
I already put that
Sorry
live.
to interrupt the flow of the show.
But I'll grab it. You're fine.
We have a flow.
Love flowing like a river.
Flowing like a river.
C.
Flow from the swamp is what we do on.
Yeah, we got a swampy flow. So there's the Kickstarter. So if I can get, so the for those of you who did not know that Terry Mixon wrote urban fantasy, you can get at the $75 level. You can get both. You'll get both ebooks of Dirty Magic Los Angeles and Dirty Magic New Orleans, which contains the deepest. Well, probably not the deepest of Terry Mixon cuts. Well, definitely the deep. Okay, the deepest of Terry Mixon cuts. Definitely not the deep cuts where you were not writing under your own name back in the day.
Those have a different meaning with deep cut. That's totally different. Yeah.
Well, Charlie, as my gift to you for this, if you wanted to take those short stories and put them as a teaser on in your Patreon or whatever as free content so that people can read them, you have my permission to do so.
I so appreciate that, Terry. I really, really do. So I'm going to I will probably take advantage of that because that would definitely help to have a few of those stories in Patreon and they're just sitting around so people can go, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to put up one of my Voodoo Priest detective one of the Lasty stories is going to be in there. So so $75 level you get the 1 year subscription and the 2 books. $50 you get 1 year subscription in one of the books that you were talking about. But if I can, but right now for 6 months, $20. Hopefully, so everybody's got $20 lying around. I'm not saying that it's easy. I know that's a little too privileged, but if you could help me out, I would certainly. But I do want to say, it's happening, even if the Patreon. even if the Kickstarter doesn't work, it's happening. It might get delayed a couple of months, just so I can move some money around. But it's definitely going. Yeah, this is going to happen because I believe in the project, and I really feel like I need to scratch that itch that has been gone unscratched for a couple of years of being creative, working within a genre that I love, and as a teacher, helping people establish themselves, and I think that's and so here, Paul, I'm also going to send you the submission guidelines are already up.
Oh, well then we should post those in the Discord in the
he's sending me the link
channel.
I think.
Yeah, in the open calls.
In the open calls channel. Yeah. Not just the live, but the open calls. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Because if it's going to happen no matter what, and it's just a question of time, then there's no reason all y'all can't, start working on this.
And if you want to post a link to that and make a post in either of the Dead Robot Society Facebook groups, you are more than welcome to do so.
Yeah, I'm in the Discord, so I know I'm not very active there, unfortunately, but maybe I'll be more active now, that I know what's going on. And so it's a fun genre. That's why I like it. It's like science fiction. I love science fiction. But when I'm reading the magazines to fiction, it's just like there's so much technobabble that I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with
hand wave you, baby.
I do not want to deal with technobabble. Or and that's not necessarily saying you need something. You as a science fiction writer, you should be making up stuff that doesn't exist now. I'm just not going to edit it. That's not my thing. And there's plenty of places to go with that. But if you have this weird my idea of a modern 20th century or 21st century kind of story, and you're gonna like, yeah, and it's like you got the magic. So like I was reading the books that became the TV show The Magicians, that kind of stuff. Or if you just, I mean, I love clanging swords. I love a good clanging swords. Dresden Files, certainly Dresden Files in a short form would definitely, So I'll tell you what I like.
I might have something to throw your way. I might. Because would 1990s Toronto with a bunch of retired deities who may or may not be running an adult toy store and lingerie place, would that qualify?
Over on it.
My
You
sweet
dirty,
summer
dirty
child.
girl, you.
Asking for a friend.
I am the goddess of phalluses. Oh, wait a minute.
No, I told you. That's.
Oh, look at that.
We'll have to wait till after dark so I can tell Charlie exactly what is in the stone phallus. But go ahead.
No, but that sounds like something. Yeah, it's like I want to. That sounds like it could be funny too. And I like funny.
Oh.
I like funny. And
well,
so
yeah.
So I want a good mix of dark stories and funny stories. And if you can hit that kind of Raymond Chandler sweet spot of funny and action packed. So what I like to see, other than from the submissions, outside of genre, I like beginning, middle, end. I love literary fiction that kind of does the slow fade and doesn't tell you what the end is, but we're not in that genre. Good beginning, middle, end. In media res, in the middle of things, do not send me an info dump. If you send me an info dump, it's coming right back to you. That's the thing I hate the most. But yeah, good action. I want the writing to be clean. I don't mind SAT words, but I like a good. I like the writing to be as enjoyable as the story itself. Magical Encyclopedia Brown. Man, I loved those books when I was a kid.
They were awesome.
Those are great.
I loved Encyclopedia Brown. Yeah.
I wanted that trailer forever.
Yeah. I've just started watching Grimm, so something like that, where I don't want retold fairy tales. I think there's another market for that somewhere, and that's not going to. And we can go through a lot of this stuff, but something short and punchy, but 10,000 words. Sometimes you need a little bit longer. I understand. If you're writing that much, you might want more money. So maybe you test out the bigger markets. But I'm always open to look at that kind of stuff.
I think when you first brought up the original anthology, you told me you wanted the whole hard-boiled type of stuff, and so I was channeling Raymond Chandler and that, trying to make it sound like that's what it was. Not only the actions, but the words and the word choices. It was a lot of fun doing that because that was pretty far outside my wheelhouse.
Yeah, and the initial inspiration for Dirty Magic was Cast a Deadly Spell.
Yeah,
the HBO movie that had Fred Ward as Howard Philip Lovecraft, hard-boiled detective, trying to fight off. You've never seen Cast a Deadly Spell?
No, I must have not dropped acid when that came out. What the fuck?
Paul's like, if you remember the 80s, you weren't there.
Not true, man. Not true.
So that was if you remember Finn, that was him and I were kind of had the same That
So
could
the
be
same vein as a haunted selfie stick, where the ghost in the selfie stick keeps photobombing anyone who uses it. Something at that level.
maybe that would be like a ghost story. It could.
If you use
It
the
might work.
selfie
It
stick,
might
you
work.
die.
You must pass the selfie
Selfie.
stick on to someone else in 7 days.
So if people haven't heard of Castadelli, Julianne Moore was in it. Wow, okay, I didn't remember that. Fred Ward is like 89, and then there was a sequel that I don't remember the name of, where Dennis Hopper took over for Fred Ward, and they moved it down to Mexico, and at a much lower budget. I've never seen it. That might be one of those movies that I write about in my column. I'll tell you what movie I'm definitely writing about in my column. Probably the first one will be The Devil's Reign. And you're going, have you heard of this one? No, you have not heard of this one. So let me draw you. You know me. I love the 60s and 70s. I love the 50s. I love old stuff. Imagine a sheriff played by William Shatner in a small town.
Oh, dear God.
And he uncovers a satanic cult run by Ernest Borgnine.
Well, of course, that's what has to happen.
And,
oh my God!
And the kid who gets seduced into the cult is John Travolta in his very first film.
Oh no!
And not only is he in the film, the technical advisor is, oh God, now I had it and the name's gone. It's the Satanist of the 70s. Damn it. His name, Anton LaVey. Anton LaVey is in the film.
Oh, no.
And this movie is so freaking weird. I found it digging at the. I was scraping. Okay, during COVID, I was scraping the bottom of the barrel.
The bottle.
The bottle of using the bottle to scrape the barrel.
Yeah, using the bottle to scrape the bottom of barrel of Amazon Prime. I started with Hammer films, which were very good. You know, Peter Cushing. So if it had Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee in it, I was watching it. That became Italian giallo films. So Dario Argento, Mario Bava, and then it became 70s satanic panic movies. So if it had the word witch, Satan, or
devil,
or coven, or anything like that in it, I was watching. Someone in my house was not happy about this.
I was going to say, you and Brett need to get together because he's got some crazy shit hiding in his DVD catalog.
Yeah. So I still don't think my wife has forgiven me for that period of time. Yeah. Because we were just sitting around, there was nothing to do. And I was like, she was like, well, you know. So what is
watch
she
a
doing?
satanic panic movie?
He has all the time in the world and is watching. What is she doing? She's now into Korean soap operas.
Oh, cool. Which ones?
All of them.
All of them? There are some great ones that I've enjoyed.
Yeah.
Like the K-dramas, but some of the premises are just freaking weird.
No, she goes more towards the mainstream ones that are on Netflix mostly. Yeah. So
okay. Yeah, no, there's still some weird ones on Netflix too.
Yeah. So.
I think the weirdest one, I haven't finished it, but it's the like psychometry, but the main female character has to touch the person's butt, and only their butt, to figure out what's going on.
She's dying to know. Paula just wants to fly to Korea so that we can eat. She just wants to sit there and go to every noodle shop and fried chicken shop.
I get that. I understand that. And do not watch K-dramas hungry.
Those people make New Orleanians look like teetotalers. They are slamming back the soju.
Yes.
That's just so. Anyway,
Matt says I was brought up on Hammer House films. It didn't have a negative effect on me in any way. Okay, I'm here, but I'm sure the two subjects aren't related in any way.
No.
No.
Hammer and what was the other one? There was another one with began with an A. It was basically like what Roger Corman was doing here, except I just think they were better films. I think they were better films than what Corman was doing. And yeah,
better stories.
Yeah, they had better stories. Yeah, but basically because Corman was saying like Corman's idea was build a set and then write a script around it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Hammer was like, let's write a script and then we'll figure out how to shoot it. But and because like Little Shop of Horrors was shot in 2 days.
Really?
That's scary.
Yeah, 2 days. Yeah. Yeah, because it was leftover. They had a leftover set. They said, let's use it again. I've got it for 2 more days. Come up with something.
I need to find some of the video from the most current Broadway iteration because they have Jinx Monsoon playing Audrey.
Oh, okay.
And she's freaking amazing. Like she did Suddenly Seymour on just like a single video, and just her voice is so good. Like it's a different interpretation of the character.
Yeah,
but it's good.
I mean, Levon from the Four Tops is always going to be a tough one to beat for me, but I mean, I'm sure it's good. I'm not gonna prejudge.
But
that sounds like an interesting direction to take it. If you're not going to go,
no. I mean, she's Audrey, not the plant.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know who's playing the plant, but no, she's playing like Audrey.
Oh,
but no, in a lot of there's been a couple different.
Audrey too.
Yeah, there have been a couple interpretations where they've had a more femme actor playing the plant, and I think my kids' high school did that when they did Little Shop a couple of years ago. But yeah, they had, and I've seen it a couple times. I would have killed to do that in high school, but I was not allowed on stage in high school because they said you couldn't sing, you couldn't act. Now look at me. Am I bitter? No. But
maybe they should just go ahead and pull the curtain there, and only your voice was allowed on stage.
No, they said I couldn't sing.
I understand.
Or act, but
don't sing, don't act. What do? You don't sing, don't act. What do you do?
You sell popcorn in the concession stand, and you laugh 20 years later that you're a card-carrying member of SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah.
I'm in SAG-AFTRA, and you are not.
Actually, I take that back. There are at least 2 people I know who are actually.
Really?
One wasn't out. Anyway, sorry. Magick anthology submission. Write it now. Write your shit now.
Anyway, I've always wanted to because I mean I'm going way back now. Let's take a time trip back to the 80s. And it's like when I was like in college. I just subscribed. That was what I did. I subscribed to a lot of fiction magazines, and the one that really always got me was Fantasy Magazine. The one from the woman who wrote, what was her name? What? I'm so old, guys. My brain is just...
What did she write?
She wrote the one that was the Odyssey from the female point of view. Marion Zimmer Bradley. So she published Fantasy Mag. Marion Zimmer Bradley's Fantasy
Darkover series.
Yeah. She wrote a lot of great stuff, and then turns out that there was some weird sex stuff with her. But
there was beyond weird stuff going on. Yeah. There was sexual abuse going on.
Yeah, but her magazine was always one of my favorites. So I got like weird stories, and I got Alfred Hitchcock, and I got amazing stories, and Fantasy Magazine, and it was just one of those. Oh, the first 2 sales was to MTV. Yeah, my friend Kirsten, who was in Dirty Magic New Orleans, she sold one to Sword and Sorceress too. It was a big deal. It was a big deal for her.
It's really sad that Bradley was such a terrible person along with her husband.
Yeah.
Because I love the Darkover world. It still is an influence on what I like about fiction today, and it's proof that terrible people can write good things.
Yeah. I mean, Edgar Allan Poe was pro-slavery.
Go figure.
You know, H.P. Lovecraft was H.P.
H.P. Lovecraft was H.P. Lovecraft.
There's a lot to unpack there, and we don't even have time for
No, we
that.
don't.
So if you have a comment or question about this episode,
Or if you want to hear us unpack all of this stuff that we say we don't have time to unpack,
you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can find me on Mastodon at Paul_E_Cooley at BYRSE.social. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast, where we are live almost every Saturday at 3 p.m. CST. Like and subscribe so you know when we're live. And you can support the show by going to patreon.com/DRS podcast and buymeacoffee.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive live shows like the one we're going to do in just a few minutes with Charlie. Because, that's how we roll around here.
Before we go, I think that we should go ahead and have Veronica cowbell us out.
We're not ready for that yet.
We are. There are important things.
Because at the $10 level, we get your name read. You're getting name read, and our $10 patrons are Nick Cosby, Antoine Batts, Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. So, what you need to do, if you got a storyline around that takes place in the city and has a little magic in it or a little magical realism, I think you probably need to hit Charlie up and see if it's something that might be good for his magazine. Links are in Discord and the live channel, as well as in the self-promo channel. So you can go there. And of course,
Kickstarter, I would truly appreciate it. I mean, I know not everybody's got money, but if you can, is again, 90% of the money going on this Kickstarter is going to the writers. The other 10% is to build a website that looks good. I mean, I am taking none of this money. So if you can help me out, please do.
And the Kickstarter link is in there. Also, you should check out the other Dirty Magic books, as well as Charlie's own books, especially the Vamp City series, since he's getting ready to release another one in that series.
Yes.
Yep.
Fall
if you go to
off
the
the
Discord,
window.
I put the link in there for the audiobook.
Yeah, I think it's audio. I think Vamp City's only available as an audiobook right now.
Really?
But Fate's Stiletto is available. Which is my sword and sorcery, kind of in a world inspired by fantasy world inspired by Crimea in Russia, because I wanted to use those Russian names and pretend that I was writing Crime and Punishment. But it's much more fun than Crime and Punishment. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, good.
Fate's Stiletto is probably my favorite of my fantasy books. But I also have a short. If you can also find me under Charles D. Brown in the short story collection, The Weird Ones, which is mostly some literary, some magical realism. It's a little more towards the mainstream. And one day I will finally self-publish the one that is out of print, looking back on Sodom, my pre-Katrina epic story of New Orleans and how it was. So one day.
Well, that's what we got from Mr. Brown. That's what we got to say for us. Sorry we missed last week, but man, the shit hit the fan in my world and I needed a break.
And that's okay.
I won't even go into the details of that, except for maybe at After Dark. So if you want the skinny on that. Anyway, we are going to get out of here. Support Charlie, support independent fiction, and of course, keep writing and reading, and we will see you next week. Have a good one.